From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MBW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
And broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Welcome into the Oxford Exxon Podcast here on this Tuesday morning, a busy day for us in Oxford. We have football this afternoon, Ole Miss baseball against Little Rock this afternoon as well, and then, of course, Ole Miss and Kentucky tonight at 8 o'clock. It's on ESPN at the Pavilion. A huge game for both teams, frankly, but a critical game for Ole Miss. We'll get to all of that in a minute. First, let me tell you a little bit about Clark Ford. I'm in the Clark Ford studios right now. Clark Ford's in Amory. 662-257-1900. Call that number if you are in the market for a vehicle, any vehicle. Get a quote from Corey. At the very least, you'll be able to take that quote, get out in the market, and know that you'll know whether someone's trying to screw you or not, frankly. You'll know whether someone's trying to fleece you or not. What Corey's going to do is get right to the bottom line, right from the beginning. It's a much more efficient process for him, and therefore it makes it a much more efficient process from you. You'll end up coming back to Clark Ford. When you do, at the end of your deal, tell Corey that you heard about Clark Ford on the podcast, and he'll give you $500 off the already great bottom line in Clark Ford. Corey wants to be your truck guy. He wants to be your car guy. He'll prove it to you. Go through Clark Ford if you're looking for a vehicle. It's the smart thing to do. They have delivery options and all of those things at Clark Ford in Amory. Again, that number is 662-257-1900.
You mentioned it, basketball tonight at the Pavilion. We'll start there. One quick thing, as you mentioned, baseball time changes for anyone that did not pick that up on the internet yesterday. 3 o'clock today for Little Rock, 3 o'clock tomorrow for East Carolina. We'll talk baseball in a bit, but just your time changes there, strictly because of the cold weather. It's not rain. It's going to be rain this weekend. But, Neal, I don't remember the last time that we've had game time changes because of cold, but today might be one of those days. It is frigid outside.
Yeah, it's pretty cold this morning. It was cold yesterday afternoon. The wind was something else. So 3 o'clock will be a little warmer than 5 o'clock. So makes sense.
And you're right. And it's Swayze, so it's the Igloo.
Yeah, it's just – there's the two coldest places in Oxford. Actually, there's three. One is Swayze. Two is the outdoor Ole Miss practice fields, just brutal. And, yeah, they're so cold. I mean, it's like I'm telling you, I went out there last week twice, and on both times I was in my driveway, and I thought, it's not that bad. And I got to Ole Miss and got up on the practice fields, and I was like, oh, my God, it's 20 degrees colder here. And then F&C Park, if you have ever been out there for baseball or soccer, this is what I'm about to tell you is science. It is 30 degrees colder there than it is at your house, period, until summertime when it's 30 degrees hotter there than it is at your house. That is a scientific fact. Don't at me. I've proven it, and I'm not willing to debate the veracity of that statement.
So it has something to do with athletic venues is what you're telling me. The cold weather in Oxford.
That's what I'm telling you. That is exactly what I'm telling you. It's science. I mean, respect the science.
Okay. Fair enough. Kentucky, Ole Miss tonight. The Rebels coming in, needing one to feel great about things in this last week of the season. As you know, they play Kentucky 98. They go to Columbia, Missouri Saturday as well for Missouri Senior Night. Ole Miss does have some seniors tonight they will honor, and they're still in that race for that number 4 seed, getting the double bye in the SEC tournament, but it is one crowded mess of a field. It is a 5-way tie for fourth place right now between Mississippi State, Auburn, the Rebels, the Gators, and the Gamecocks for one spot. And it's going to be one spot because Kentucky's 13-3, and they're in the number 3 spot. So there's a chance there, but for Ole Miss, it's just about getting one win. It's about getting into the tournament. If you luck into something else or something else happens, all well and good, but that starts with Kentucky tonight, the 24-5 Wildcats that are coming off a bit of a puzzling week. They look like crap against Arkansas in the first half. They did come back. They won that game. and then just got obliterated by Tennessee over the weekend in Knoxville. They gave kind of a non-update update on Reed Travis. It does not sound like he's going to play against Ole Miss tonight. So Kentucky brings the same roster from Saturday into Oxford. And, Neil, it doesn't look like a great matchup. It looks like that same deal sort of like last week, except even magnified more, where you got to get a big effort out of Bruce Stevens tonight, and then you have to have your guards, all three of them, play at least B+ to A games.
Yeah, no doubt. Can't turn the ball over. They're so good in transition. They defend really, really well. They are probably the best defensive team in the league. They're long. They're athletic. They're defensive-minded. Now, not having Travis is a big blow for them, not just against Ole Miss, but just in general. He's been a big part of their team. And it certainly sounds like he's not going to play. Yeah, I mean, it's broken record time at this point of the year because you've done it so many times. Stevens has to play really well. He has to avoid foul trouble. And the guards have to play. They've got to play clean games. The part of their problem, and at times they get into these routines or they get excited and they try to create off the dribble, and they just dribble, and it leads to turnovers. They've got to get into their offensive sets a little earlier. I think I went back and watched that Arkansas game. You've got to get into your set, and you've got to run the offense. You've got to move the basketball, and you have to do it consistently. And I think tonight's a difficult assignment. I really do. I don't know what the line is. I'm sure you're going to tell me in a minute.
I am.
I'll take a stab at it in a minute. I think this is a difficult assignment. I thought Tennessee would be a really close game, and it was. I thought Ole Miss would beat Arkansas, and it should have. I don't like this matchup at all. And Kentucky off a loss, they don't lose much, as Kermit Davis said yesterday. They don't lose much, but when they do, they typically respond. And they're coming off of, as you mentioned just then, a lackluster win over Arkansas, where frankly they were fortunate, and they got just run out of Knoxville. I listened to some of their interviews yesterday. They were salty. I think they show up tonight. Ole Miss will have to play an A game.
Kentucky coming off losses this season. Again, they haven't had many of them. They lose the opener to Duke, where they got popped on the neutral site. They come back. They win 6, 7, 8 in a row against just decent to moderate teams, whatever. They lose the strange one to Seton Hall on a neutral site in overtime, 84-83, and then followed that up with the blowout win over Utah, and then back-to-back wins over North Carolina and Louisville. They lost to Alabama 77-75 to start league play on the road, and then that's when they ran off the big stretch that ended with the loss to LSU and the little officiating thing there in the last minute or so. And then they followed up that loss with an 86-69 win over the same Volunteers that got them Saturday. So, yeah, they've responded well, but a lot of that is they're just a really good basketball team, and it's very hard for them to lose 2 games in a row because they don't lose much at all.
Yeah, there's not a lot of science there.
No.
It's that Seton Hall game, by the way, is to this point the best game that I've seen all year.
Really?
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Ken Palm, which got the Arkansas score exactly right for Ole Miss, by the way, a 74-73 loss. They are predicting a Kentucky 72-68 win tonight at the Pavilion. Ken Palm going 72-68, giving the Rebels a 34% chance of a win tonight.
I'm going to guess the line.
Okay.
We'll play guess the line.
Sure.
Brought to you by somebody.
Sure.
I'm going to say Kentucky minus 5.5.
You're a half point off. Kentucky is a 5-point favorite tonight. And Oxford, Odd Sharks Analytics predict a 71-66 Kentucky victory.
Yeah, at 5 points, I would take Kentucky and lay them.
Over under total tonight, expecting a little bit more of a low scoring game, 140.5 tonight on the over under.
Yeah.
70, 73, 68 ish.
Yeah, I can see that. I think Ole Miss is going to struggle to score tonight. They really defend you. They're going to make you run offense, and unless Bruce Stevens gets hot and scores, I don't think there's enough offense there. I just don't. I'm not trying to be negative. If anybody's getting angry, I've just watched Kentucky a lot. I don't think this is a great matchup. Tennessee was a better matchup for Ole Miss. Arkansas is a better matchup for Ole Miss. Kentucky's they're just athletic. You can get them in the post, but I'm not ready to bet on Ole Miss's post presence right now.
If you want to bet on a money line tonight, you've got to lay $215 to win $100 to bet on the Wildcats. If you want to bet on Ole Miss, you can lay $100 to win $200. So 2-1 on one side, 2.15 to 1 on the other side tonight.
I mean, a money line, if you want to just put a little money down, take Ole Miss. There's a potential payday there because the line's within 5 points. The analytics show it within 5 points. You've got to
get them at home. You never know.
Yeah, you get it home on senior night and all that stuff. And I think they'll be emotional. I do. Kermit talked on the teleconference yesterday. We didn't have a media op. He talked about Sunday. All they did was look at film. He kind of felt like he needed to give them a day. And I think, I don't know, Bree and Tyree on Saturday after that game, his eyes were pretty red. That it's been an emotional week. I don't know whether they're getting tight or not. They're just not finishing games, Chase. And you know, we had this conversation, and I got a lot of and not in a bad way. I got a lot of people coming, not at me, but just asking me about what happens if. Look, here's reality about the tournament. If Ole Miss doesn't win another game. If Ole Miss beats Missouri, we're not having this conversation. If Ole Miss wins tonight, it's over. Ole Miss can send a birthday cake to Columbia and not go. They're in. If they beat Missouri, they're in. If they're 9-9 in the league, if they lose these last two games, I think Nashville would really matter for them at that point. I think Nashville would really matter because they would be in a Thursday game as probably a 7-8 seed in the league.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So they'd probably play another team in this mix. So you're talking about they would be playing a Mississippi,
Florida, or a State, or an Auburn, or somebody.
So you'd be playing another bubble-ish team on a neutral site, and I just
I guess you would play that, or you actually could be playing a team worse. You could actually get the scary A&M team or something, because if you're the 7, you potentially would play the 10.
Yeah, you could end up playing A&M or Arkansas on a neutral floor, and if you lose, I don't like the analytics of that, and so And frankly, if you're 9-9 and you lose on Thursday and you don't get in, you don't have an argument to make. I mean, there will be the hardcore out there that will make an argument, but you don't have a good argument. You don't go into the season, hey, you need one win in 5 games and lose all 5 games and then play the victim card. It just doesn't work. So we're going to find out this week, not just tonight, but Saturday. We're going to find out what this team is about. We're going to find out what they're about. We're going to discover a lot about them. Because tonight's a difficult assignment, but it's not impossible. And a win over Kentucky basically negates the loss to Tennessee and the loss to Arkansas. It almost eliminates it. It puts them absolutely in the tournament, period. It would bump their net up to about 34, 35. It would absolutely put them in the tournament. A win at Columbia. And look, Missouri's not good. A win in Missouri is going to give them 10 SEC wins, and on this bubble, it's going to put them in the tournament. But if you lose both of those games and you get into next week, I just don't think I don't think you get to – everybody will make the argument, but I don't think it's a particularly good argument.
If you want the, I agree with you 100%. If you want to make the Pollyanna approach and you do pull off a win tonight, obviously you're guaranteed in the tournament. But if you're worried about that number 4 seed, I think it's very likely that if you win tonight, you could potentially be in number 4 by yourself at the end of the midweek, because this schedule is interesting from all those teams fighting for that number 4 seed. Yeah. Auburn tonight is at Alabama. That's losable. They could lose in Tuscaloosa tonight.
Oh, absolutely.
Mississippi State's at Tennessee tonight. That's losable, obviously, at Thompson-Bowling.
Well, it's not only losable, it's a very likely loss.
South Carolina's at A&M and tumbling.
And let me just tell you, that is the team. I'm going to plant this seed. I think I planted it a week ago.
Yeah.
They're playing right now today, A&M. They're one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the league right this moment. I don't know why. Billy's done a good job with them. And they didn't quit, and they're kind of on a roll right now. And if you told me that they knocked somebody off in Nashville, I'm not even a little surprised.
So all these teams having a tough game tonight, and then tomorrow doesn't get easier. Florida is the other team in this tiebreaker. They're at home, but they got LSU tomorrow night.
Yeah, and LSU wants Florida. Those kids, that's their embarrassing loss of the season. They played like crap at home against Florida and got beat. And Will Wade let them see it. He called them out. I've talked to people around that program who said, hey, that was the day that he got their attention. They'll play in Gainesville tomorrow night. I mean, Florida will have to earn that.
Then if you get to Saturday all tied, just for the heck of it, we'll obviously talk about this later in the week, but South Carolina has the easiest game on Saturday. They host Georgia in Columbia. State would be next because they host Texas A&M, but it's at home on Saturday. Ole Miss probably next at Missouri for their game, and then Auburn hosts Tennessee, and Florida goes on the road to Rupp to close their season.
It's right there. It
really is. Like, you just win a game, and all of a sudden, not only are you in, but Frank, you probably get a double bye at the end of this thing.
It's right there. I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying, and I know this will be misconstrued.
It's on their racket, so to speak, to use a tennis term.
I know it's going to be misconstrued. I know people are going to take it and say, hey, guess what McCready said? And it's going to turn into something else because we've been doing this now for a year. I know the playbook. But we're going to find out how bad they want this. That's what we're going to find out, not just tonight, but Saturday afternoon in Como. We're going to find out how much this team really wants this. And wanting it doesn't always mean you get it. Look, Ole Miss could play an A-plus game tonight, Chase, and lose. I mean, Kentucky's really, really good. But we're going to find out tonight from the jump how bad this team wants this. Are guys taking charges? Are guys locked in on defense? Are guys playing offense, playing with intensity, diving after loose balls? You will be able to tell tonight how much this team wants it because, man, as you just pointed out, it is right there. In fact, if Ole Miss beats Kentucky tonight, a lot will have to go wrong for them not to end up playing on Friday in Nashville.
Yeah. You want to guess some more lines in the rest of the segment here? What do you think tonight? Auburn, Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
Ooh, Auburn at Alabama. I don't have the science in front of me, but what I remember from covering that rivalry is that I always loved the home team. I will say Alabama is a 2.5-point favorite.
Let's see, had it up. Auburn is a 2.5-point favorite in Alabama tonight.
Ooh, kind of like Alabama in that game.
Yeah, the Tide getting 2.5 tonight in that one.
Kind of like that.
The other premier game in the SEC tonight, other than Ole Miss and Kentucky, is the Bulldogs headed to Tennessee State and the Volunteers.
Ooh, yeah. State got popped at Auburn.
But they're 100% in.
Oh yeah, they're in. I'll say Tennessee's a 9.5-point favorite.
Close, and an 8.5 to 8-point favorite, depending on the book that you would like to choose to decide that. Let's see. I had A&M in South Carolina too. Here you go. All right, yeah, South Carolina at A&M as mentioned. What do you think?
I will say Texas A&M is favored by 4.5.
Texas A&M is favored by 4 tonight.
Okay.
At home in I think they're going to win that game, and I think that puts South Carolina to bed.
Yeah, I think
now Carolina's getting really propped up by Saturday having Georgia at home.
Yeah. By the way, I love A&M and the points. There, lay them.
All good there.
Love it.
Well, I mean, you've kind of just ridden A&M because, I mean, you got a little lucky on that 11.5 with LSU last week. And then
wait, what?
It was an 18-point game there at one point in the second half.
Dude, I had that all the way. All day long. That money was spent.
Let's see. That's fine. I love how Duke has 30-point lines in conference games. They're a 28.5-point favorite over Wake Forest tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's silly. But it's what it is it's really all those kids just want that education at Duke. And everyone knows Durham is just a kind of a mecca.
Hey, research triangle.
Yeah.
Just saying. Fun game tonight outside the SEC. If you're just looking for one that's kind of interesting, Kansas at Oklahoma tonight. That's a pick'em.
Ooh, that'd be a fun game.
Yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on in a second. First, tell you about Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. All underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. You're getting local underwriting and understands your market. That's kind of a big deal. And is a leader in condo financing in Oxford. Ask Jason about the float down option, which allows you to lock in the current rate, but if rates go down before you close, you get the lower rate. You can find him at 662-234-2704 or JLOWE at communitymtg.com.
Fresh off a weekend sweep, the Ole Miss baseball team returns to Swayze today. They take on Little Rock at 3 p.m. and Wednesday versus East Carolina also at 3 p.m. Kids 12 and under receive free admission, and general admission tickets can be purchased by visiting OleMissTix.com. As we just got through talking about, the Ole Miss men's basketball team returns to the Pavilion tonight. For senior night, they take on the Kentucky Wildcats at 8 p.m. Limited tickets remain. Can be purchased by visiting OleMissTix.com. The Ole Miss softball team back in action tomorrow, Wednesday, as they take on Austin P at 6 p.m. Admission is free. For more information, visit OleMissSports.com. And the Ole Miss women's tennis team returns home as they host Mississippi State on Sunday at 1 p.m. Admission is free. For more information, visit OleMissSports.com. This podcast is brought to you in part by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX legacy realty agent. He's been in Oxford more than 4 decades. No one knows the residential and condo market in Oxford better than Harry. Go to his site. He'll prove it to you. It's harryalexander.com. Click on the Properties and Neighborhoods tab, filter through about what you're looking for, then send him an email. It's ha@harryalexander.com. We're also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, that's the place to go. It's just off Interstate 55 in Grenada, Mississippi. They have a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles. Go in, test drive one today. Tell Gene and Sandy that you heard about Grenada Nissan on this podcast, that you heard about Grenada Nissan on rebelgrove.com, and you'll get Rebel savings on the already great deals at Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. And we're brought to you by Oxford University Bank, OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. Right now, OUB has a commercial checking account that is now paying 1% interest as long as you keep $10,000 in the account. It comes with fully interactive online banking that can set up any local business to deposit checks from their office and not have to worry with coming to the bank daily to deposit those checks. More than likely, any business owner at another bank is now paying a monthly fee for their account, and they're most assuredly not making 1% on their money. To learn more about this commercial checking account, to learn more about Kasasa, and to learn more about OUB, check out Live Oxford, bankoxford.com, or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured.
You know, you can call G&M Pharmacy at 662-236-2222 to transfer those medications. Go with the local hometown pharmacy for more than 40 years. Also, we've been telling you for a little while now that they are currently offering a pharmaceutical-grade CBD oil. It's available in sublingual oil, soft gel capsules, or topical salves, all-natural product that helps maintain overall health and helps regulate many conditions such as depression, anxiety, pain, insomnia, and more. It's FDA approved. Not always the case with some of these online sites, so get it local. Call them for more information. Again, 662-236-2222. So, yesterday on the podcast, we talked about DK Metcalf and his accolades and heroics at the NFL Combine. Yesterday, Zedrick Woods, the fastest man in the NFL Combine, 4.29 40-yard dash yesterday. Ken Webster had a good showing, I think 4.43, something along those lines for Ken, guy that I really, really like over the course of his career.
Too.
So much here in some ways. Kind of trying to figure out where to start. First, with Zedrick, we've said this a lot. We've kind of been not a supporter per se, but have kind of pointed out his positives. As bad as that defense was, that dude showed up every day, and they would have been much worse without Zedrick Woods. But because of his unit's inability at times, he goes very, very underappreciated for a guy that was not highly recruited and for someone that, as much as duct tape could, held that thing together for a little while.
I knew he was fast. I knew he was fast. I had no idea he was that fast. Did you?
No, I would never have guessed that. I mean, I didn't, I've seen some of these guys go, oh, I thought he was going to run a 4.7. No, he wasn't going to run a freaking 4.7. But
I thought he would run if you'd put a gun to my head and we'd played guess the 40 time, I would have guessed 4.45.
Yeah, 4.45 is the exact number I was about to say.
Okay. That's what then we're on the same page. I would have, the people that said he's going to run a 4.7, no, he's faster than that. But I had no idea that he would run a 4.29, a 4.3. I really didn't. And I kind of yesterday, I talked to somebody, an NFL guy, who was like, did you know he was this fast? And I'm like, no, and I covered this guy. I mean, I've watched Zedrick Woods play 40-something games. I mean, I had no idea that he had that super elite speed, and I almost kind of got mad at myself, Chase, a little bit. It was kind of like, man, you got to pay better attention. But I was surprised. And then I want to go back to Zed in a minute. I do want to say this because otherwise I'll forget. Man, I was so happy for Ken Webster yesterday. I was looking right at that injury in Tallahassee when it happened. I saw it live.
Orlando, yeah.
Yeah, Orlando against Florida State, I'm sorry. And it was bad. It was bad. And it took him a long time to get back. But most people, frankly, don't come back from that injury. Most people don't come back from that injury like that. They're never the same kind of player. And I don't know. Kudos to him. I'm happy for him. We're not supposed to cheer in this business and all that stuff. But man, I'm happy for that kid. I hope that he's able to cash in and have enough of an NFL career, because pre-injury he was emerging as a first-round pick, and that injury was devastating. And it would have been easy to feel sorry for yourself and kind of quit, but he didn't.
No, I mean, really has a chance to be a really cool comeback story, success story, whatever you want to call it, with Ken, because he looked, frankly, very, very athletic, looked as close to his former self as I've seen from him during the course of the Combine this week. And I don't even know where I fall on this. Sorry, dogs are barking, and I have no idea why. I don't see anyone outside when I'm looking out the window. It could be UPS. Anyway, I don't know where I fall on this.
FBI, CIA. Could be a lot of things.
FBI, CIA.
Yeah.
I told you I had the FBI come to my door in college one time. So Ole Miss really stands out in the Combine. They have, from an athletic standpoint, did as well as any school in the country, frankly. Might have done better than any school in the country if you wanted to stack it up that way. It says a lot of different things. It says first, obviously, from a top-end standpoint, they had incredible athletes on the field, as most SEC schools do, and they did. Two, it says that in a lot of ways they were underutilized during their time at Ole Miss. I think that's fair as well. It also says, three, that there were not enough of them, frankly. It means that these 9, these 8, how many ever really showed out this week, couldn't do it by themselves. 3 of them were at the same position. Really, 4 of them were at the same position, if you want to count Dawson Knox. It means Zedrick Woods did a lot, did the best he could, while also somebody's turning around in my driveway. That could be part of the reason why something happened, huh? So Zedrick Woods also having to make up for the other problems on the field. I mean, you've got to have depth. You've got to have 11. I mean, more so than any sport. Football, I mean, you'll have coaches say this so often that it's become cliche, but it's because it's true. One little breakdown, one guy doing something wrong, and it's a touchdown. That's it. And that's where this thing is linebackers still sucked. They were still bad in other spots. They were still this. So, yes, they had top-end talent, but it's a complex answer. It's not as easy as, hey, it was completely underutilized or it was this. It just means you need more of them. Good. I mean, it's a good thing for Ole Miss. Ole Miss is getting a lot of publicity and, frankly, kind of coming back into the national conversation where this is why it's good for Ole Miss this week. They had a week where they showed out at the Combine, and for the most part, or almost all the part, nobody went, hey, probation-riddled program, no whatever. No, it was just an SEC program that had 9 guys in the Combine, including DK Metcalf and Zedrick Woods, who showed out on a national level. So it's complex, but it's not a complete, oh, look, this is such a talented roster. That was very top-end talented, but there wasn't enough of them. There wasn't depth, and they still had those breakdowns, which were part coaching-related and part talent-related, that led to a lot of huge plays for the other team because it really does take all 11. It's kind of the chain and the link analogy a little bit here because if your linebackers are bad and they're not in the right spot, it's still a 30-yard game.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of these questions in my mailbag, and I understand the angst and the frustration. I get it. Was it a top-heavy, talented team? Yes, it was. DK Metcalf was a super talented player. A.J. Brown, super talented player. The list goes on and on. Greg Little's an elite left tackle, and we knew that for 3 years. All that said, it's not as simple as hey, they had all these guys, they should have scored all these points. Was it a good scheme? No, it wasn't a good scheme. It wasn't a good scheme. But 2 years ago, they've just never Freeze was never able to recruit that stable of running backs that you see in the SEC where you were able to really have a balanced offense. Is that fair?
Yeah, they didn't have that guy.
Okay. Phillips was pretty good last year. Wilkins was pretty good, but they never had the groups of guys. Like last year when Scotty went down, they just kind of weren't the same. And then defensively, look, there's just no way around it. They got beat in the front 7 on recruiting. And, Webster was a good DB. Zedrick, we talked about it, was probably one of the more underrated players in the league for the majority of his career. The list just goes on, but to win in this league at a high level, you have to have depth, and defensively you have to be really good. And Ole Miss hasn't been really good. Schematically, they weren't good, and then from a talent standpoint, that was not a talented linebacker core last season, or the season before that. And so I get a lot of the whole Matt Luke thing about everybody's mad about this. Some people saying this is year 1 for Matt Luke. Number one, it's not year 1 for Matt Luke. In my opinion, it's year 2 for Matt Luke. If you're the guy that's saying this is year 1 for Matt Luke, you're being an apologist. And if you're the guy that says no, this is year 3 for Matt Luke, then you're being completely unfair, because if you're holding that first season against him based on a couple of losses that you don't think they should have had, and you're not willing to look at what that season was and the distractions that were involved in that season and the fact that he was basically hired as a babysitter that first year. So this is year 2. This is year, I guess what, this is year 2 coming up for Matt Luke in my book. It's why I tell people all the time, and I get the question all the time in the mailbag, what do they have to do to whatever avoid? My answer is avoid scandal. I said this last week. It led to a big message board thread. I'm convinced I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'll own it. I don't think I am. I think you agree with me, Chase. I don't think any result on the field from a record standpoint leads to a coaching change. I think Matt Luke's going to get another season after this one at an absolute minimum. I do. I believe it. To tell the story about what Hugh Freeze left and the talent that was left and all of those things, it's a complicated story, and you've got to delve a lot deeper than just talent. Yes, he recruited some talent. There's no question about that. Yes, he left holes on the roster. There's no question about that either. But these last couple of years, if we're going to pretend that the program was just humming right along and there were no distractions and everyone was completely happy and all of that, then we're not being real. Is that fair? I mean, I think you have to be able to talk about the human aspect, the toll that the last 2 years sort of took on kids, and and then at the same time, you can absolutely say that offensively, especially against good teams, they underachieved. That's more than fair. But to win big in this league, you got to be able to run the ball, and you need to have an above average quarterback, maybe even an elite quarterback. I mean, there are things you have to have in this league, combinations of things to win at a high level. And then defensively, you must have more than Ole Miss had in the front seven if you're realistically going to have a chance of winning big in the SEC.
Well, no doubt, you win with 22 and 44, not 8. Yeah, I mean, I think we covered it. I don't know. It's just kind of fascinating to watch when you see some of the athletic feats. Now, how that translates to the NFL, I don't know. I mean, I still maintain that because of some of the lateral issues, I am curious to see what DK actually gets drafted at and by whom, what kind of system he fits, what that looks like, who's freaked out about the injuries. I don't know. It's a good question. He did everything he could to maximize his worth, and for that he should be commended because he came back from injury to do it. When everybody goes, "Hey, is the guy that's gonna, will he be able to play at the Combine?" Well, yeah, he certainly played at the Combine.
And on top of that, he's a fantastic kid.
Yeah.
He comes from a great family. He's going to give you everything he's got. I mean, despite all of the stuff about, him looking like a superhero at this point and the celebrity that he's gotten, DK Metcalf is still sort of a lunch pail guy. Despite all of the accolades that he's always gotten, he's still a guy that shows up and works. AJ's the same way. But yeah, I mean, I think that question is fair about Metcalf. I mean, what? And I said this yesterday on the podcast. I think the days run together. I do think for both DK and AJ, and quite frankly, for most people in the draft, there's you got to get the right fit. You got to get to the right place. You got to get in the right system with the right quarterback, and that applies to most people. I mean, there are only a handful of guys, frankly, at the top of every draft who could just go anywhere and plug and play. Quinnen Williams, for example, the Alabama defensive lineman, he can play anywhere and excel anywhere. The linebacker at LSU that ran the 4.41 or whatever, I mean, yeah, he can play linebacker anywhere. But a guy like DK, you want to get in the right system and you want to get someplace where where you can be an outside receiver and be a weapon out there. And for a guy like AJ, you got to get in the right system. Though his 40 time, remember that was the big question on Laquan. What was did he have the elite top level speed? And the answer really was always no, especially coming off the injury. With AJ running the 4.47 or 4.45 or whatever he ran, that pretty much silences that. That's fast enough to be an elite weapon at the NFL level.
Yeah, and he's going to move sideways well. So, yeah, he's fine. They all did fine. I mean, there was no overall red mark out of any of those guys that that they were going to get drafted and we were talking about. And then you have a guy like Zedrick who probably shoots up the board now because of one run. Credit to him.
Yeah. No, he made money. And Ken Webster made money.
Yeah.
And good for him. I mean, look, we cover these kids, and the last couple of years on defense, it's been hard to talk to kids sometimes because they don't have answers. And Zedrick Woods was one of those guys that we got a lot, and he had to answer for a lot of things that weren't his fault, frankly. And he always did it in a classy way. So I like Zed, and I think both of us really like Ken Webster.
Yeah.
Most people that covered Ken really, really like Ken. So we were all sick for him when he got hurt, the way that he got hurt, because he was so excited about that year. Man, he had just blown up. He was ready to go, and to have it taken away from him, I think the first series of the season, maybe the second series of the season, to have it, and then to find out that the injury is as bad as it was, where he basically tore everything in the knee, and then to come back the way that he did again, he's one of those really good feel-good stories that, like on Pro Day, he's kind of the guy that if he's there, I kind of look forward to talking to.
Yeah. Podcast brought to you in part by Blow Dry Bar Oxford, 662-638-3310. Been telling you it was voted best new business in Oxford in 2018, 1801 Jackson Avenue, 10 to 6, Tuesday to Friday, 10 to 3 on Saturdays. When you go in, get the gift card for that lady in your life. Tell them about rebelgrove.com, the reason that you heard it or the podcast. You get a discount as well, or if you're one of the ladies listening, take care of yourself. Maybe this weekend from that 10 to 3, the ever-popular blowout, keratin treatment, spray tans, and much more. Plenty of options and products for you at Blow Dry Bar Oxford. Again, 662-638-3310.
Staying in Oxford during spring break? Need some help watching your child during that break? The Oxford Park Commission can help with its annual spring break day camp. Cost is $75 per child. It's open for ages 5 to 13. Drop-off is at 7:30 a.m., pickup at 5:30 p.m. Registration can be completed at oxfordparkcommission.com. The deadline to sign up is Friday evening at 5 p.m. This podcast is also brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. If you've been thinking about that golf trip with the guys you'll never forget, maybe that anniversary trip she'll never forget, whether you've dreamed of playing St. Andrews or sitting at a cafe in Paris, talk to John before you try to do it yourself. John's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows John to supply his clients with added values and unique benefits that are simply not available to other travelers. What you do is you call John, you give him some parameters, you give him a budget, he gives you options. You don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. It's 901-494-3387. Or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast. I'll be posting my mailbag at some point tomorrow. It is a mailbag that is sponsored by the Westin Jackson. If you're passing through Jackson or you're doing business in Jackson, the Westin Jackson is the place to stop. It's fantastic. It's a great hotel. If you're living in and around Jackson, maybe you don't need the hotel, but you know what? You might need Soul Spa. It's the ultimate luxury spa experience in downtown Jackson. Indulge in personalized massages, signature facials, soothing body treatment, and much more on their extensive spa list. Escape from the everyday, rejuvenate yourself in their luxury spa today, and then gather at Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro. Sip on a creative craft cocktail or enjoy their curated wine list. It's open for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Chef Caden's mission is to connect guests with the community through local partnerships, so gather at Estelle tonight.
Podcast is brought to you by Scripted Jewelry, scriptedjewelry.com. As always, just go to the website. You will find something for you. You'll see everything from frequently asked questions to sizing guides to the turnaround times that are great for ordering for gifts. Also show you who bought what and when to give you some ideas. Put your personal message, personalize it with scriptedjewelry.com. Again, we have used it, and you'll enjoy the process as well. They make it easy, they make it quick, and they offer plenty of options to take care of whatever gift buying situation you're coming up in. So again, scriptedjewelry.com, and when you check out Rebels10, REBELS10, for 10% off with Scripted Jewelry. So we mentioned the game time changes, 3 o'clock today against Little Rock. Jordan Fowler will pitch for Ole Miss, the sophomore left-hander that's still trying to find his form. And then a game against East Carolina tomorrow at 3 o'clock that I'm really interested in. We'll potentially hit on it a little bit tomorrow as well. But Ole Miss going to send Doug Nikhazy to the mound, the freshman left-hander, tomorrow. And I think it's an audition. I think it's a simulation of an SEC game a little bit. He's going to get a start. You see what he looks like being stretched out a little bit. He's going to face a really good team that is going to be without one of its hitters, by the way, real quick. Alec Burleson, who's hitting .542 with 9 extra base hits so far for the Pirates. He tweaked a hamstring. Cliff Godwin told me yesterday that he is out for the midweek. They play Mississippi State today in Starkville. They play Ole Miss tomorrow in Oxford, so he will not participate in those games. But they got 2 of their other studs back recently from injury. Brickhouse and Packard. Brickhouse is a really good baseball name, by the way, Neil. If you're going to play baseball, Spencer Brickhouse is not the worst name to go by.
No, it's a solid name.
That's a really good name.
That's a solid name. That's really good.
Yeah. It's better than, like, Paper House. Stucco. Brickhouse would be the way to go.
You think anybody's last name is Stucco?
John Stucco.
I bet someone's first name is Stucco.
Do you?
Yeah.
STUCKO, CCO, however?
I think it's CCO.
I know it is. I'm just saying how they would spell it.
Oh, that's a good point. That is a good point. Yeah, I put nothing past anyone.
Okay, fair enough. Anyway, Burleson out, Packard in, Brickhouse in, and Cliff told me yesterday he has no idea who will pitch against Ole Miss. They're going to throw their normal midweek guy against Mississippi State today, and then he hadn't really figured it out past that. He said he probably will not make a decision until he gets to the ballpark, and that no one will throw more than probably 2 innings. It's going to be a by-committee approach tomorrow in Oxford. So anyway, just a little thought there. But he's back in Mississippi. If you're East Carolina, it's spring break, and it's like, hey, where are we going? Let's go play ball somewhere, coach. And he goes, we're going to Mississippi where it's 15 degrees outside for back-to-back games against top 10 opponents. It probably takes a little bit to get excited about that one if you're the Pirates.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think that's look, man, it's cold out there right now today. I mean, this is not a fun day to go up and carry a metal stick and try to hit a ball. You hit the ball on the wrong part of the metal stick today, and your hands will vibrate for the better part of a week. So again, beat Little Rock, don't have an RPI issue today. Fowler needs to show some form, frankly, just to find a role and to solidify something for Ole Miss there in that midweek starter spot. And then, again, kind of focus on tomorrow. I think that there's a chance Nikhazy, with a good start, could end up in the rotation in the next couple weeks. They get another midweek set of games next week to kind of look at the same with Louisville on the road facing the Cardinals. So ECU, Ole Miss tomorrow at 3. Ole Miss and Little Rock today at 3. I'll have a story up with some Cliff quotes later tonight or in the morning, as they don't play them yet, so there's no reason to already run it, but nonetheless. There's that. He gets to go see John Cohen, who offered him a job last offseason, and he turned him down today. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, remember that?
I do now. I did not earlier.
Yeah, John went up to Greenville and everything, and yeah. So that was several national guys insisting he was going to take the job because you just couldn't turn down Mississippi State. I tried to tell one of them he wasn't taking it. They wouldn't listen to me. Probably should have listened to me.
Yeah, probably should have put a few things together. assumed, I don't know, that maybe you had a source.
Yeah. So I started to get real sarcastic with him a time ago. Said, okay, real quick. I broke him coming to Oxford, broke him leaving to Oxford, and now I'm telling you something. Just potentially factor it in when you make a decision. So
yeah, there's a decent chance that you had a source close to Cliff Godwin.
It's possible. So I don't know, but yeah, it's
like to talk about sources, but sometimes it doesn't take a genius to figure out sourcing.
It's an interesting deal though with him. I mean, in all honesty, because not very old, he gets back to his alma mater. They're paying him as well as they can possibly pay a baseball coach at East Carolina. He's done well. He's been one pitch away from Omaha. They really lost a heartbreaking super regional to Texas Tech a couple years ago. They've been a top 25 team for the most of his tenure, other than the year that they played at Ole Miss, and just the whole roster was injured. They had the worst luck in the world for a season. He's going to coach in the SEC, in my opinion, one day. He's already turned down 2. He's turned down Mississippi State. He's turned down Alabama. I think Tennessee and Auburn both kicked the tires on him, and they were never going to get him. Kind of curious where he ends up, what his path is, because he desperately wants to get to the College World Series at least once with his alma mater. He's very focused on that, of course. But I don't think he ends his career at East Carolina. I do think he ends up at one of these major SEC jobs, and I'm sort of fascinated on watching this timeline play out, because within the next 10 years, I have a feeling he's going to be in this league. Just a thought, so.
Yeah.
LSU would probably look at him when Maneri's gone. Ole Miss would certainly look at him when Mike's gone.
Quite frankly, he would. Like, if in 2 years Mike said, I'm done. If nothing changed from right now, he would be a leading, if not the leading candidate. Would that be fair?
He would absolutely fit the profile of what I would look for in the next Ole Miss head coach. Yeah, if I'm the AD, I think Cliff's 1 or 2 on my list in my drawer. And it's because, A, he has been a high-level recruiter here. He understands the dynamics of how to recruit to the school from the limitations you have. He knows how to market the school in the ways that are positives. He's been on the team that went to the College World Series and, frankly, was kind of the catalyst for keeping them loose there down the stretch. Done well at East Carolina, another place without tons of superior things that make them beyond everybody else in their conference. It's also a pretty good conference, kind of underrated as a conference. And then just next, he's a good coach. So yeah, I think that makes all the sense in the world that he would be on that list, and I do think Cliff would take it. I think he would. I don't know this. Cliff has never told me this. I mean, I think probably at least part of him goes, I don't know that I want to go to state and coach against Ole Miss and get in the middle of that crap of a toxic rivalry in some ways. You know what I mean on that side of it?
Yeah.
I think you look bigger picture down the road just in general and went, now's not the time at that place. It's okay. And I don't think he thinks his work's done at East Carolina yet. He hasn't got there yet.
No, he wants to get him to Omaha.
Yeah. And he's got a shot.
He wants to wear an East Carolina jersey from a dugout in Omaha.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand that.
Yeah. I mean, he is a guy that, we always talk about this, that everybody kind of views their alma mater from, 0 to no factor to 10, that it's the biggest factor in the world. Well, in some ways, I mean, Cliff's still, supporting himself and everything else, but in some ways, he's like a 16 when it comes to East Carolina. I mean, it's a big deal to him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was always going to take that gig when it was offered and see what he could do with it. And he's done well. So he'll be back in Mississippi today. They flew into Jackson yesterday. They drove to Starkville. They'll play the Bulldogs today and the Rebels tomorrow. As kind of following a little bit of a Mike's playbook there. Get on the road during spring break, play some good teams, pick up some RPI points, and then get back home.
We will be able to determine definitively at the end of tomorrow who is better, Ole Miss or Mississippi State, based on these two games.
Ooh, transitive property stuff, depending on how they do against the other team?
Yeah, I mean, if let's say they lose, East Carolina loses to Ole Miss but beats State, we will know definitively that Ole Miss is better than East Carolina. Flip side of that would Ole Miss is better than Mississippi State. We would know that flipped also, and if Ole Miss and Mississippi State beat East Carolina, we will be able to judge by who beats them by the most, who is better, or by if they both lose, by which one played closest. We'll know which one's better. So that's the exciting part of this for me, is that Wednesday afternoon, 6:30, 7 o'clock, we will know definitively who's a better club.
I appreciate all message board threads because I like the interaction. I like the community. I like the fact that you guys are choosing to spend time and energy on our boards. Is this a really pivotal 8 days from a message board standpoint as Ole Miss plays 3 games against Dan McDonnell and Cliff Godwin?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because, I mean, no one's fired yet. Got to get somebody fired at some point. I mean, look, I don't know who it is. Maybe it's a bullpen coach. Maybe it's a water boy. But if they don't win all of these games, you've got to send a message inside your program. How to do it.
Yeah.
Seasons do not have ebbs and flows.
56-game regular seasons at that.
Get your ass dialed. If you can't get dialed in and locked in 56 times, I mean, you're playing a kid's game. You're getting a scholarship to play a kid's game. Get locked in.
Speaking of RPI things, I mentioned Little Rock. You probably should not lose just from an RPI standpoint. They are currently 2-9 on their season. The Trojans have gotten swept by Creighton. They have lost 2 out of 3 to Northwestern State. They lost 2 out of 3 to Evansville. They lost a midweek to Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
They lost a midweek to Louisiana Tech.
Is the guy still at Tech that was kind of doing pretty well, or did he leave?
He's still there. It's Lane Burroughs, used to be the state assistant. Isn't that right?
I think that's right. He did a pretty good job at Tech.
I think I'm right. Isn't Lane Burroughs still there?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, if I'm wrong, whatever, I'll check in a minute. But I think that's right. Pretty sure I'm right. Now it's kind of bugging me. But anyway, yeah, because I thought he'd be a candidate at State when Lamona's got the job last year. But nonetheless, yeah, La Tech's done a nice job. Little Rock, not a good team at all, 2-9. So
it looked like they had kind of done some renovations to the Louisiana Tech baseball stadium.
Oh, you checked it out?
Well, we drove by it. I mean, because we did that visit to Tech. It was Campbell's first college visit.
Did that finish second for her?
I don't know. It was. I mean, she liked it. She just didn't. It wasn't her. It wasn't her thing.
Okay. Yes, Lane Burroughs is currently the head coach at Louisiana Tech. His previous stops had been Northwestern State, Mississippi State, Kansas State, Southern Miss, and East Mississippi Community College of places.
My bank account liked Louisiana Tech more than it did.
Did it really?
Arkansas, yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned your hometown team from a baseball program standpoint, and Lane Burroughs 2 seasons. He's gone 36-20 and 39-20 as head coach.
Pretty good.
And they are currently 9-2 on their season.
Yeah, he's done a good job. Good for him.
Yeah,
good for them.
So anyway, there's that. They need Fowler to pitch well. They also need him to go a little bit of time because you don't want to deplete your bullpen on a midweek when you've got a 5-game week, including your weekend series. So, because you look at it on a whole, starting today, Ole Miss plays a lot of games, 10 games in like 14 days, something like that.
Yeah,
a little less than that.
You mentioned this earlier. Weather this weekend is going to be interesting.
It's going to be hard to get 3 in potentially this weekend. It looks like 2 Sunday for sure, and then you just try to find one somewhere else.
Yeah, got a chance on Friday. Yeah, a little chance. Friday and Saturday are just weird weather days. Because you can't tell on the radar, not the radar, but you can't tell on the forecast whether they're really like predicting a soaker like all day long or whether they're just talking about storms.
Okay. I feel really good there's going to be a Sunday doubleheader this weekend. Just a hunch.
And then they play Tuesday and Wednesday in Louisville, right?
Yeah, it's a Tuesday night and then a Wednesday day. Wednesday's a Kids' Day game at Louisville, I'm pretty sure.
And then they come home to play Alabama.
That is correct, to start league play.
Gotcha.
And then they go on the road 2 weeks in a row at Missouri and Arkansas.
Okay, that's right.
Yes. So that is the schedule. What is the first week of the NCAA tournament? Where are they? That would be the Missouri weekend on the road, right?
That is correct.
Okay, gotcha. That's what I thought. Just making sure. So, all right, continue the show in 1 second. First, tell you about Mastercuts Lawn and Landscape, mastercutslawn.com, 662-607-7773. Also, send them an email for that free quote at info@gomastercuts.com. Get contracts signed for 2019 to take care of all your basic maintenance from cutting, edging, weed eating, and more. Also, a little more of a special project. They'll take care of that too, from flower beds and landscaping all the way to building custom playhouses, decks, fences, and more. Again, 662-607-7773.
Guests join our family of podcasts on the Patterson and Earhart Hotline. Patterson and Earhart, attorneys at law, specialize in personal injury law and real estate law, but theirs is a general practice that can handle any of your legal needs. When you contact Patterson and Earhart, you speak to one of the partners in the firm, and that's who will handle your case, not some paralegal at a faceless corporate firm. If Patterson and Earhart can't help you, they'll refer you to someone who can. John Calvin Patterson and Wes Earhart are Ole Miss guys. They're local guys, and when you call them, you're going to get one of them on the phone within the same day, guaranteed. So whether you've been injured in a car wreck or have other legal issues, give them a call, 662-526-1992, or check out their website, pelaws.com. Your initial consultation is free. Warm weather, I promise, is on the horizon, and with it comes the inevitable debate of sock or no sock with your loafers. So save your feet and your shoes from making their own impression and step into spring with some no-shows from Dead Soxy. You really need to experience the difference a quality sock makes. It's the first step in dressing for the job you want, not the job you have. So go to deadsoxy.com, enter the code Rebel Grove at checkout to receive 30% off all orders, including sale items. These no-shows are the same quality you already love and enjoy with their traditional dress socks. And again, they come with the no-slip guarantee. So go to deadsoxy.com, check out their no-show collection, and remember to enter promo code Rebel Grove at checkout for 30% off all orders. We're also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust sponsors my post-game column that I'll have up late tonight, early in the morning from Kentucky Ole Miss. Pinnacle Trust is based in Madison, Mississippi. It represents clients in 24 states, has advisors in 3 states. So here's what they do. I'll get out of the reader and into the reality of what they do. You sit down with Pinnacle Trust, and no matter your level of wealth, they will create a retirement plan that is just for you. You get to be, even my age, people younger than me, start thinking about, okay, what do I need to do to retire? It can be a very stressful thing. They eliminate that stress because what they do is they take your debts, your expenses, your income. They listen to your goals. They listen to your dreams. You talk about what it is you want to do in retirement, what you're hoping to do. And then they put together a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan that can be adjusted on as your income changes, as expenses changes, as life happens. And they can do that for people who are making $800,000 a year, and they can do it for people that are making $50,000 a year. They'll put together a plan that takes away the stress and lets you know that your retirement plans are in great hands. It's pintrust.com. PINNtrust.com. Mention you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the podcast, and you'll get 10% off your first year's fee.
So I saw you and our Bachelor correspondent, Aaliyah, mentioning it on Twitter last night. What happened? What was the dramatic reveal this week?
Oh, man. Oh, my God. It was so dramatic.
Have we jumped the fence yet?
Yeah, you jumped the fence last night.
Okay.
Yeah, the fence was jumped. And it was the most dramatic fence jumping.
Oh,
ever.
real quick, sorry. What happened with the fantasy suites? We never got an answer. Sorry,
Okay.
I didn't watch.
All right, so here we go. This is spoiler alert. If you've got it on DVR and you're planning to watch tonight or tomorrow or something, you're going to have to kind of hit your fast forward button and skip around a little.
Yeah, probably like a minute. I don't think I need more than that, do I?
No, probably not.
Okay, I'll give you 5 seconds to hit the button or stop, or go ahead 1 minute. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so he's down to 3.
All right.
And he took the first girl, Tasha, to the fantasy suite.
Ooh, okay.
Took her to the suite, closed the door, shut the blinds.
What country are we in? Where are we at?
They are in
like some island or something?
They're in Portugal.
Okay.
They're in Portugal. It's a romantic Portugal. Like Lisbon or something. They're in Portugal. Yep. So he took her to his Portuguese fantasy suite, and she revealed the next morning that while they talked a lot, they did not
consummate
their relationship to the level that she had hoped that they would.
Ah.
So it was his call and not hers.
Okay.
So the next day, or 2 days later, I don't know how they budget this out. He went on his final big one-on-one thingy with Cassie, who I believed to be the favorite in this particular contest. And Cassie, her father in the one-on-one, or in the family visit, the at-home visit, or whatever the hell it's called, her father did not agree to give her hand in marriage to Colton because, frankly, they had only known each other for 30 minutes. So he told her this at the beginning of their date, and things went downhill from there quickly. She basically told the camera, not him at first, that she just didn't think this was going to work. She didn't think her feelings could get there, at which point he put his cards, man, on the table. He said, "You're the one. When I'm out with the other women, I think of you. You're the only one for me, blah, blah, blah." And she really wasn't very moved by all of that. She basically said, "I'm out." And he walked her to a car, and she took off. And then he basically had kind of a meltdown, and he knocked one of the cameras out of the way and jumped the wall. Jumped the wall quite athletically, by the way. It was an impressive deal. I mean, DK Metcalf could do it, but I'm not sure people like you and me could hop that wall the way that he hopped that wall. It was a sight to behold.
Okay.
Then they went and found him, and they left it there. So there's another. I'm going to miss it tonight. There's another episode of The Bachelor tonight that I think finishes up the fantasy suites, I guess. He still has one more fantasy suite date.
Oh, we don't do them all in one episode.
Well, no. That's what I said. It was the most dramatic fantasy suite night ever. And he still has the one girl left, the girl from Birmingham, who I think's the next Bachelorette. I don't know what's going to happen there. And then tonight, I believe, is the Women Tell All. There's so much to tell. And I'll have to watch it. Heck, I might even come in from the Kentucky game. It'll be midnight by the time I'm done. And I might set up the DVR and punch it up and watch till 1. And I might wind down with the Women Tell All tonight.
Oh, gosh.
It's going to be so dramatic, so exciting, emotional, really. And I'm really thrown off because I have avoided spoilers. I don't want the spoilers. My money was absolutely on Cassie, and now I'm pretty confused. I'm thinking that I know this is going to be shocking. I'm thinking it is possible that this scenario of dating 30 women at one time on a reality show is not going to end in fulfilling lifelong romance. I'm thinking it might be all for naught, Chase.
Well, ABC does not feel like it's for naught. I can promise you that.
No, that is true.
There's a lot of naught for ABC in this. This world.
ABC goes, it's a damn shame that he didn't find the love.
Yeah. Next.
Some cash.
Next. Bachelorette, season 34. Coming in May.
What was funny was you don't see Chris Harrison at all anymore. And yet one of the camera people, hey, we need someone get Chris. Because when he jumped the fence and took off, they're like, hey, where is he? Let's get Chris. And then there's Chris right there in Portugal. And you're like, so Chris Harrison maybe has the greatest job in the world. He travels all over the place. I'm sure he makes millions to be the host of The Bachelor. And our boy has no that was his first camera time in weeks.
He's getting played out.
No, he's a big part of the show. I mean, if you take Chris Harrison away from The Bachelor, I just don't know that it's...
Has he been around since season 1?
Yeah, he's been around since day. Absolutely. The first rose.
Okay.
And, I mean, if he can't come... I'm bothered by they've taken away some of the rose ceremonies where he gets to walk up and say, Colton, ladies, this is the final rose. If you don't receive a rose, it's time to say your goodbyes.
He just keeps everything on the track.
Yeah, Colton, when you're ready.
Colton, when you're ready.
And he'll walk in sometimes and say, ladies, Colton has made his decision. There will be no cocktail party this evening. He delivers the news, and he says, we will get right to the rose ceremony here shortly. And I'm like, damn right. He comes in and he walks into a room full of women and says, hey, this is the way it's going to be. And no one argues. No one ever says, but Chris, I'm all dressed up for a cocktail party, and I've got some things to tell Colton. You're going to bring his ass back in here. Never happens. When Chris Harrison walks into a room and says, this is how it's going to be, Chase, that is how it's going to be.
What day do you think The Bachelor premiered for season 1? How long ago has this been on?
15 years? I don't know.
I was in high school.
No kidding.
March 25th, 2002. I graduated a month and a half later.
So 17 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Going through relationship notes for The Bachelor, the seasons. Broke up after several months. Broke up after several weeks. Broke up after several months. Broke up shortly after the show aired. Continued to date, but broke up several weeks later. Split after 5 years. So that we can call that one a win, right? 5 years.
Yeah, I mean 5 years. You gotta. There was something there. You got to give it a little.
Velvic ended up winning the vote. Velvic and Delgado split after 5 years. All right, we got this one that broke up in September of 07, but got back together in 08, but then broke up again in 10. Does that count? 2 years?
Iffy.
Broke up shortly after show aired. Let's see. Then dated Murray, the runner-up, but broke up in March of that same year. So broke up with 2 different candidates out of the 25 in the same year. That's kind of impressive. Lorenzo, good job there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Called off the engagement 1 month after the finale, but continued the relationship. Then broke it off in September of 07, so same year.
Okay.
Both rejected in the season's finale. That's one. Broke up in July of 08. And then you've got this one, the Mesnick, which their wedding aired on national television, and they have a daughter born in 2013.
Okay, success.
So, success there.
Yeah.
Ended their relationship, called it quits for good in May of 11, so same year. Broke up again in October 12 for good. All right, Lowe and Guidici or something like that. Married on January 26, 2014, and have 2 children. So that's another win.
That's a win.
Let's see. Did the end of their relationship, announced their breakup, announced their breakup, and then last season, so far, maybe a win last season, the one that ended with Ari Lewandike or whatever his name was. Says on the live season finale, it was revealed that a few weeks after filming wrap, Lewandike had quickly called off his engagement to Kufrin and started dating runner-up Burnham. Oh, sorry, it's the runner-up, though. The two got engaged during the After the Rose final special and were married on January 12, 2019, and they were expecting their first child together, a girl.
Goodness gracious.
That was quick.
Wow, that is dramatic.
With the runner-up.
Yeah, well, sometimes,
There's actually more success rates in this when they end up with the runner-up than the winner. I think, going all the way back. Just saying.
Yeah.
Change of heart, if you will.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. You're going to bring back the same 25 girls and have a reunion show in 5 years or something?
Oh, that'd be good.
That would be good. Or just bring back 25 of the craziest from the entire show and put them in one room with
That's why they have the
pad.
The fantasy pad thing. That's all about get the crazies.
Oh, gosh. All right, fair enough. Plenty of baseball. Got spring football today.
He
yeah,
does
go ahead.
I want to make fun of him. I really do. But he does seem to be a nice guy. He just this has overwhelmed him. I don't think you can be a good / innocent guy and do well in this scenario. There's way too much.
Sometimes
drama.
it's hard to date one person. Nevertheless, 25 at once.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, come on. And then he spills his guts with the camera
You're
rolling.
either looking for celebrity or you have a screw loose. One or the other or both.
Yeah, and I think he actually just has a screw loose. I mean, you feel like going, hey, dude, this strategy of yours, it's not working.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a 26-year-old former professional athlete who's never had sex, and you're making that a big deal, and you're doing it with 25 women, most of whom are trying to become celebrities. You just might be fishing in the wrong pond, champ.
Yeah. Just announced on Twitter, Ole Miss wearing blue on white today. So for those uniform junkies out there, blue on white for the Rebels, the navy blue. And Ryan Olenek was named National Player of the Week by Collegiate Baseball. Actually, two Player of the Week national awards for Ole Miss 2 weeks in a row. Dillard last week and now Olenek this week. So there's that last bit of news. But anyway. 3-Sport Day at rebelgrove.com. We've got football, we've got baseball, we've got basketball, and more covers to you as the week goes on. Talk to you tomorrow.